local government council, or rather ward of Boko local government council of Benue State, where the national chairman, the embattled national chairman of the party hails from. There's a court order barring him from restraining himself further as the national chairman of the PDP. So, is there an end in sight to the crisis bedeviling the People's Democratic Party? We'll find out. Plus, the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC has met with the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, as well as CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, in a bid to avert a nationwide strike that has been proposed to take off tomorrow by the NLC in the face of the current fuel scarcity, as well as the cash crunch occasioned by the Naira swap policy in the country. Will the NLC make good on its threat or not? We'll find out later. We'll be joined by Mr. Franklin Song, who is the State Coordinator, Center for Human Rights Advocacy Network. He will join us later to bear his thoughts on this issue. But as usual, we'll start off today with the regular political update of the day's biggest political news stories and events. And let's begin with the news that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has fixed Saturday, April 15, 2023 for the governorship, national and state assembly supplementary elections. Well, the commission made the disclosure yesterday, where it noted that arising from its meeting, it decided that all outstanding governorship, national and state assembly supplementary polls will take place on Saturday, the 15th of April. Now, the announcement comes barely 1 week after the governorship elections in Kebbi and Adamawa State were all declared inconclusive. Let's move on now. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has alleged plot by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the All Progressives Congress, APC, to cancel already collated votes in the Adamawa State gubernatorial polls and also extend the supplementary election beyond the 69 polling units where the elections were to hold. National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Debo Ologunagba, during a media briefing in Abuja yesterday, warned that such attempts could jeopardize the peace in the multi-religious and ethnic state. Well, he said the PDP has discovered fresh plots by the APC and certain compromised officials of INEC in Adamawa State to further manipulate the outcome of the March 18, 2023 governorship election in the state. Well, he noted that, as already declared by INEC, the final tabulation of results from the polling units across Adamawa State actually shows that the PDP candidate Governor Ahmadu Fintiri is in clear lead with 31,299 lawful votes above the candidate of the APC, Senator Aishatu Benani, whom they claimed has been desperate to compromise the election result against the expressed will of the people of Adamawa State. Ologunagba also called on INEC to maintain its status as the unbiased referee in the election by ensuring that the votes of the people count, warning that the PDP would not allow the true reflection of the polls to be truncated in any form. Well, staying with post-election concerns now, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has warned that the Nigeria Police Force will not entertain any attempt at stirring violence across the country, especially as a fallout from the recently concluded general elections. IGP Alkali Baba sounded the warning during a meeting with commissioners of police from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, as well as other senior officers. He said the police and the Independent National Electoral Commission are investigating all electoral infractions during the 2023 polls, adding that all grievances and crimes committed will be attended to. Now, speaking further to police, the police chief disclosed that over 700 offenders have been arrested already by men of the Nigeria Police Force, apparently for violation of electoral laws during the 2023 general elections. Now, according to him, the exact figure of those arrested stands at 781. And giving more details regarding the arrest, IGP Alkali said 185 cases of electoral infractions were recorded during the presidential election, with over 203 arrests being made. For the governorship and the state assembly polls, the police boss stated that 304 electoral breaches were also recorded, with 578 offenders being arrested. Well, he said the meeting with the commissioners and other leaders within the force has become critical in the face of the threats to national security by some political actors who he says are trying to undermine the peace of the country after the elections. Now, he's condemned the action of the political actors who are engaged in ethnic profiling and advancing their interest, and also urged Nigerians to rather strive towards unity. Some updates from Makadi, where the High Court has restrained the embattled national chairman of the PDP, Iyorchia Ayu, from parading himself as chairman of the party, pending the determination of the substantive suit, which has been adjourned for hearing to April 17, 2023. A member of the PDP from Benue State, Tehide Hutan, who is the plaintiff before Justice W.I. Pochi, obtained the order restraining Ayu from parading himself as national chairman of the party. Ayu was suspended late last week for alleged anti-party activities in the wake of the party's loss in the presidential polls. However, in a statement by his media aide, Simon Imoboswam, the former lawmaker argued that only the ward lacked the powers to suspend him. Meanwhile, Ayu's political rival in the PDP, as well as Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, has said he was elated that the Benue State Ward ESCO had passed a vote of no confidence on Ayu. In other news, President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called for special prayers and thanksgiving instead of the annual colloquium to mark his 71st birthday tomorrow. A statement yesterday in Abuja by his media officer Tunde Rahman said the main event will be in Lagos, with special prayers held at the central mosques in each of the 5 divisions in the state, including the central mosques at Alausa and Ikeja. The statement said the special prayers will be offered for peace, unity and progress of Nigeria, while also to receive the prayers, among others, are President Muhammadu Buhari and First Lady Aisha Buhari, President-elect Tinubu and wife Oluremi Tinubu, Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima and his wife Hajia Nana Shettima, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, as well as other governors and members of the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly. A program of events released by Imam Hakim Kosoko on behalf of the organizers of the prayer sessions showed that the prayers to be offered at Alausa Central Mosque will begin at 10 a.m. tomorrow and will include the delivery of sermons and a reading from the Holy Quran. Well, this year will be the third in recent times that the birthday colloquium of Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not hold. All of this interference to certain development across the country, the latest of which, of course, is the just concluded general elections. Now, to avert a nationwide strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, as well as the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, have met with the leadership of the NLC. The NLC leadership had issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government to end the naira scarcity in the country. NLC President Joe Ajaero had threatened that the Congress would go on strike if the issue was not resolved at the expiration of the ultimatum. Ngige subsequently invited the Apex Bank leadership and the NLC to a meeting yesterday to resolve the matter. Well, this was disclosed in a statement by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Olajide Oshundun. In his remarks, the minister refuted the allegation of the NLC that his ministry did nothing about the matter. On his part, Emefiele said when he received the said letter from the Labour Ministry, he had called on the president of the NLC to brief him on steps taken to alleviate the sufferings of the masses, and equally made appointments and also had fruitful discussions with the NLC president. However, the NLC boss Ajaero urged the CBN to improve on their services, aggregating the information gap created in the implementation of the Naira redesign policy. Well, it's left to be seen, of course, how far the NLC would go on its threat to embark on a nationwide strike, which by the end of the ultimatum should begin tomorrow, Wednesday, the 29th of March. Would they put paid to those plans after the meeting with the Labour Minister as well as the CBN, who have given assurances that the Naira scarcity and the impasse occasion with the policy would be addressed along with the scarcity of fuel in the country. The opinion of Nigerians is divided on this as to whether the NLC should push through with its plans to go on a strike. We'll be joined by Franklin Isong, State Coordinator of Center for Human Rights and Advocacy Network, to bear his thoughts on this issue, while of course we'll look at the threat by the IGP Usman Alkali Baba, who has said the police force will not tolerate any form of violence in the wake of protest as a fallout from the just concluded general elections, a fair warning or not. Plus, a high court sitting in Benue, in its capital Makadi, has restrained the embattled national chairman of the PDP, Iyorchia Ayu, from further presenting himself as the national chairman of the party. Is there an end in sight to the deepening crisis within the rank and file of the People's Democratic Party? We'll find out all of these and more when we come back from the break that beckons. Stay with us. Political Spectrum will continue.
Today we want to discuss issue of anger, violence, fights, attacks, and the likes. Many of us don't know what the law is saying about some of these things I've just mentioned. When you go out, you meet someone, whether you slap, that's a case of assault. And in most cases, when you slap someone and the person slumps and dies, it is not a case of assault again. It's a murder case. It is presumed that you have killed someone. Before you be able to clarify this or to exonerate yourself, it's going to take some time, because a murder case is not a just mere offense in law. It's not. It's a felony in law, which means, and it's a capital offense. Can we actually work on anger, temperament, the way we respond to issues? Many of us, when we experience anything, immediately we throw caution into the wind and we start fighting, public fighting one another. Else of these things we do, consciously or unconsciously, are criminal offenses in the law. When two people fight in the public, it's an offense. We call it affray. When you slap someone, even if the person does not respond, you slapping, you have committed an offense, a case of assault. Then we have categories of assault. When you cause bodily harm to someone, injury to someone, it's another offense entirely. That one goes beyond issue of assault. We have assault occasional harm. Then the degree of this injury determines the nature of the offense again. We have grievous harm. When you cause bodily harm or grievous harm to someone, it has higher punishment than assault or assault occasional harm. All these things go like that. Then, if you beat someone in a fight and you cause injury to someone, do you know that if that person dies within a year and a day, the law still presumes you are the one that killed the person? That the injury you have caused to this person is still the cause of the death, except otherwise stated by experts, either autopsy or something else. That is why it's dangerous. A year and a day that you fought, maybe in your locality, in your village, the cast room, a market square, shopping mall, anywhere. You fight someone, you caused bodily injury to the person. Within a year and a day, if that person dies, the law still presumes. It's a presumption in law. And in most cases, it stands, except otherwise explained, or expert opinions come around to say, no, it is not so. It is this and that. It is presumed that within that period, the bodily injury you have caused to this person is still the cause of the death. I think we need to avoid having contact with people, physical assault, attacks, and the like. We can easily express our anger by mere talking. And when you even talk and expressing your anger, you don't need to shout. You can as well pass out that message without raising your voice. Raising your voice again can trigger your BP. Then you slap, you die. You say it's the devil. No. You need to take things easy, particularly in Nigeria now. At every slightest provocation in Nigeria, we attack, we slap, we beat, we kill, we injure. This is not fair in any way. It is not good. It is not part of our culture. it is strange to us. And we need to retrace our steps to go back to our culture of managing one another, tolerating one another, assess situation before you react. Spontaneous reaction negatively may cause damage, may cause destruction, and what have you. The criminal law section 315 has explained, described murder, and of course, if you read this law, it's going to tell you so many things about it. Whether you facilitate, you encourage somebody to kill, parties to offenses, section 7 of the criminal law again is saying, so far you are involved in anything, you are involved in any criminal offense, you are going to be held responsible as well. You can easily have argument without having physical combat, slapping, beating, pushing. This might lead someone to jail. We don't want you to be in jail. Our beautiful cells are not for you, but they are for criminals. And I know you, looking at me, you are not a criminal. For you not to be a criminal, avoid crises, avoid fighting, avoid things that will lead you into problem or to be caught in the way of the law.
Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Political Spectrum and we're live on Spectrum Television. Don't forget, you can always connect with us on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and feel free to be a part of the conversation by joining us on our socials where you can also leave us a message and head straight to our YouTube channel as well. Feel free to subscribe so you can follow us for live feeds. Let's cross over now to Makurdi, the Benue State capital, where Godwin Udobert is on standby to talk to us over the line as far as the ongoing crisis rocking arguably the main opposition party in the country, the People's Democratic Party, following a high court ruling yesterday in Benue that ordered Senator Iyorchia Ayu from going on to parade himself as the national chairman of the party. And it means the crisis rocking the PDP continues to deepen. Godwin joins us live now over the line. Good morning to you, Godwin, and welcome to Political Spectrum.
All right, good morning to you, Raymond.
Many thanks for joining us indeed. Let's start off. What do you know and what can you tell us about the ongoing crisis rocking the PDP? We heard about the news of the suspension of Iyorchia Ayu by his ward executives at Boko Local Government Council of Benue State. And just yesterday, a high court restrained him from further parading himself as the national chairman of the party. What's the latest and where is the PDP heading with all of this?
It's different from what you have heard so far. The news is real, like in Boko or local government area. I'm actually in Boko right now.
Okay.
I left Makurdi on to Boko to share friends. So as we speak with you, as I speak with you, the Mr. Dr. Ayu is no more the PDP national chairman, according to his ward chairman and ruling from the High Court yesterday. Because there are many issues arising from before the suspension of him as the national chairman. There are a lot of issues that the party spell out before they pose their vote of no confidence on him by 12 members of the executive out of the 17 in his ward. So one of them is that he failed to pay his dues, his annual subscription dues, as stipulated in the party constitution, section 8 and section 9 of the PDP Constitution 2017 as amended. It is also revealed that during the investigation that he did not vote for during the governorship and the House of Assembly election. That was the rule that he also put in his unit. It also spelled out that his close allies are working with the APC national. So this also brought about the vote of no confidence posted on him by members or the executive of ward in local government area.
Well, Godwin, I'd like you to take us through the points you made about the fact that the embattled erstwhile, as we know it, national chairman Iyorchia Ayu did not pay his party dues. I mean, a lot of persons hearing this information would find it rather funny that the national chairman of the PDP wasn't paying his dues. At what level? Well, some have said this is just the antics deployed by his opposing elements, spearheaded by the G5 or integrity group of governors who have been at loggerheads with him over the zoning principle of the party. Is there really a truth to the story that he did not pay his dues, or these are just manufactured indices to try to force him out of his role as national chairman of the party?
Yeah, Red, you understand that in Nigeria there is always faction when it comes to politics and political parties and all that. Now, if you want to play strong or you want to play smart in Nigerian politics, you must be smart. Issues like this also arises from the APC. You remember the time of Comrade Adam Oshomole that the chairman of his ward suspended him, and it was said that, oh no, he's not going to hold this and that. But the constitution of the party mandates the ward chairman to suspend Adam Oshomole, and that stands. Even when Adam Oshomole goes to court and do all that, he couldn't succeed. So I still see the same scenario playing out in this one. So I feel that the non-payment of due could have been maybe something that has happened long ago, but they were looking for a way to track the party chairman because of the political social and all that, G5 governors and all that. So I feel the non-payment of dues is one of those things that they are trying, one of those evidence they are trying to use to make sure that they nail the national chairman. So I think it's just a minor fact, a bit of the fact that the national chairman did not do what he's supposed to do as a national chairman. He did not play his card well. That is how I put it.
Well, he was also accused of being involved in alleged anti-party activities, with 12 out of the 17 ward executives who ratified his suspension claiming that some of his aides were working in connivance with the APC in that particular ward to truncate the chances of the PDP at the polls. And it was also alleged that Ayu himself did not vote during the March 18 governorship and state assembly elections. Would all of this amount to gross anti-party activities, as is the position on the grounds of which he has been suspended? Or you just think this is mere politicking? I mean, one camp fighting against the other and deploying every possible means, including seeking a legal injunction to bar him from parading himself further as the national chairman of the PDP.
Yes, let me step categorically. It is very wrong as a national party of a political party, as a national chairman of a political party. It is discovered that you did not vote for the governor, for the governorship candidate of your state, and you did not also vote for the House of Assembly candidate of your own state constituency. So it is nothing more than an anti-party evidence or
But
activity.
if he did not vote for the PDP in that election, did he vote for another political party?
That is, if you vote for another political party, okay, if you did not vote for the PDP, which party did you vote for? Yes. Which party, if the PDP say, okay, you did not vote, let him tell us, or let him tell the people of Boko or the people of his ward, or the executive of his ward, that he voted for party A or party B. Because you cannot vote for your own, you cannot say you didn't cast a vote for your own political party. Which party did you cast a vote for? So that alone is an evidence of anti-party activity. Whether you voted that day or you did not vote, it is described as anti-party activity. It is very wrong. You know, like, okay, take for instance, in Akwa Ibom State, let's take for instance our governor, I beg to mention his name, His Excellency Governor Odo Emmanuel, refuses to vote in his unit for his party. How will you count it? Okay, let's say for instance, assuming I'm a party person, I refuse to vote for my party in my unit. And I am an executive in that political party. In my unit, I refuse to vote. It is an anti-party activity that I'm doing. Whether I voted that day or I did not vote that day, it means that I am undermining my party from succeeding, and I don't want my party to succeed. So in that case, it is critically clear that you are not in support of your political party. So it's an anti-party activity.
Interesting now, as I mentioned earlier on, in the lead up to the presidential elections itself, the PDP were already engulfed in internal crisis because the G5 governors had a standoff with the leadership of the party over the zoning principle, where they insisted that power should return to the South and would only back a Southern candidate. It informed their choices not to support the presidential ambition of Atiku Abubakar. Speaking on a televised interview yesterday, the leader of the G5, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, said he was fully in support of the suspension of Ayu from the party. And this is also coming on the back of the decision of the National Working Committee of the PDP to refer Governor Samuel Atom of Benue State, where Ayu comes from, to the disciplinary committee of the PDP for also alleged anti-party activities. Now, Gordon, I'd like to take you up on this because you've tried to establish the reasons why Mr. Ayu has been accused of being engaged in anti-party activities because he did not vote in his constituency. Governor Samuel Atom supported openly the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Now, that in every term amounts to anti-party activities, but why does some fraction of the party feel that Governor Atom cannot be punished, but then the national chairman of the party is being punished for same offences?
Okay, now let's look at it. Before Governor Atom decided to support the Labour Party candidate or the Labour Party as a political party, what happened in the party? They have unresolved issues, like the national chairman coming from the north, and the presidential candidate also coming from the north. There were issues and all that. There were misunderstandings and all that. And the party, the national chairman, being the leader of the party, could not resolve this issue. So Samuel Otom, voting for Labour Party or openly supporting the Labour Party is also an anti-party activity. Now, what leads to this? If as a political party, you cannot resolve your internal crisis. There is bound to be factions here and there. There is bound to be break up and all that. Even in Rivers State, the people of Rivers State voted for the APC in the presidential election. So, all these arises from the inability of the party to come together and resolve their misunderstanding. So both of them have committed the same offense. So you are still a member of the party. You are still a governor that was elected from the party, and you are voting for another political party in the presidential election. It is also regarded as anti-party activity. So the both of them are all wrong. It is just that Ayus happens to be the national chairman of the party, could not manage or could not be able to handle the internal crisis perfectly, to the point that he himself is now being counted as a black sheep of the party, that is regarded as one that is being punished instead of others who have committed the same offense.
Interesting thoughts indeed, but we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so very much, Godwin Odobert, for joining us all the way from Makurdi.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that was political affairs analyst Godwin Odobert joining us from Benue State, which is the heat of the crisis engulfing the People's Democratic Party, where a high court sitting yesterday restrained Senator Iyorchia Ayu from further parading himself as the national chairman of the party. And this is coming on the back of his suspension from the party by his ward executives in Boko Local Government Council of Benue State. And some would say it's not the best of times for the PDP post-election, where they should be concerned about the legal tussle expected in the next few weeks and months, with reference to challenging the outcome of the just concluded presidential elections. We keep on monitoring these developments and bring you up to speed as well. We'll move over to the day's second big story. When we come back, we'll be joined by Franklin Isong, is the state coordinator, Center for Human Rights Advocacy Network CRAN here in Akwa Ibom State, as he will be bearing his thoughts on the aftermath of the 2023 elections in relation to INEC and the issues raised after the polls and the AGA law, plus the warning issued by the Nigeria Police Force that it will not tolerate any form of violence by way of protest as a fallout from the just concluded general elections, premising on the proposed strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress, who have said they will go ahead with their planned nationwide strike despite meeting with the Minister of Labour as well as the CBN governor to address the impasse occasioned by the narrow swap policy and the ongoing fuel scarcity across Nigeria. Buckle up. When we're back, there's more on Political Spectrum. Just stay with us. Thanks for staying on. You're still watching Political Spectrum on Spectrum Television, and we're broadcasting live from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, where we're being joined virtually by Franklin Isong, is the chairman, Center for Human Rights and Advocacy Network, CRAN, here in Akwa Ibom State. One of those who have been keenly following the just concluded 2023 elections, beginning from the February 25 presidential and National Assembly polls right up until the March 18 gubernatorial and state assembly elections. We'll talk about INEC and the issues raised after the conclusion of those polls. But our first big concern of the day has to be the purported strike planned by the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC, who have said they intend to go ahead with its planned nationwide strike in spite of the aftermath of the meeting with the CBN Governor Emefiele, as well as the meeting with the Minister of Nigeria, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige. Well, they have said until these issues are addressed at the expiration of the 7-day ultimatum, they will go ahead with the strike. So it begs the question, should the NLC proceed with its planned nationwide strike in spite of assurances by the government that these issues will be looked into? Let's turn our sight now to Mr. Franklin Isong, who joins us live on Political Spectrum. A very good morning to you, Mr. Franklin, and many thanks indeed for joining us. All right, looks like we're still having issues connecting with Franklin there. As soon as we can establish proper contact with him, we'll do well to bring him up, because we'll be looking at the issues, of course, rearing their ugly heads in relation to INEC's conduct of the 2023 elections, where they've also requested for as much as 3 billion naira to prosecute post-electoral cases. All right, looks like we do have Franklin ready to talk to us. All right, our technical team are still trying to work on that. As soon as we have him up, would do well to bring it up to you. All right, let's go on first by giving you some background to the first big story of the day, and that's the purported strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC. Well, as we know it, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, summoned a meeting including the leadership of the NLC, led by President Joe Ajaero, as well as the CBN Governor Emefiele, to address the concerns raised as far as the planned purported strike is concerned. All right, looks like we do have Mr. Franklin back. Let's just confirm if he can actually hear us. Good morning, Mr. Franklin. If you can hear us, good morning to you. All right, still having issues with service providers. Hopefully we can get through to him in a short while and still gauge his reactions as far as these issues are concerned. All right, we were talking about the planned and purported strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC, who have confirmed that they met with the Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, as well as the CBN Governor Emefiele. We just give you pictures to show you the aftermath of that meeting, which confirmed that they had discussed in detail the purported strike by the NLC in the face of the cash crunch occasioned by the narrow swap policy of the CBN. Now, the reasons why, of course, the NLC had threatened to embark on the strike, it's because they felt that the Minister of Labour, as well as the entire ministry, did not take seriously the threat and the planned strike by the NLC. However, they have denied this report, referring to the Minister of Labour, who convened the meeting, which had Mr. Emefiele in attendance, as well as the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress. But one thing we do know is that the NLC is expected to hold a National Executive Council meeting to take a decision on its planned industrial action in the wake of the narrow redesign policy. And so they have said perhaps after today's meeting we would have full clarification as to whether the NLC will still proceed on its planned strike. Now, the outcome of the meeting, which took place in Abuja, of course, might suggest a discontinuation of the strike. And this was, of course, in line with the remarks made by Mr. Chris Ngige, who noted that the ministry had been taking significant steps regarding the development, while the CBN Governor Emefiele confirmed that the Apex Bank had actually made available enough naira notes to commercial banks across the country and said the situation had been mitigated. Well, speaking on behalf of the Nigerian workers, the NLC President Jairo faulted the CBN for not keeping necessary stakeholders informed about the policy, and he also urged the CBN to improve on their services while regretting the information gap that was created in the implementation of the Naira redesign. And on the back of faulting the CBN for not keeping necessary stakeholders informed about the policy, I wonder if there's any truth to this statement. When you hear comments made by the likes of the Minister of Finance, National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, who claimed that as Finance Minister, she wasn't informed about the entire Naira redesign policy. So it gives credence to the argument of those who felt that Mr. Miefele may have acted on his own or simply just taking orders from Mr. President. If that was the case, why did Mr. President not inform other relevant stakeholders just so the issues that arose from the aftermath of the deadline given to Nigerians to initiate and effect the swapping of the old notes in exchange for the new ones became a very, very big distraction and a big problem to Nigerians as well? These are issues we'll revisit, but of course, should the NLC proceed on the strike, there's a small matter of a warning from the Nigeria Police Force for the IGP Usman Al-Kalibaba, who has said protests that degenerates to violence will not be tolerated by the police, especially if they're all fallouts from the just concluded general elections. We'll go for a very short breather. When we come back, we're hoping to re-establish contact with Franklin Isong and hope to bring him up on the program to bear his thoughts on these issues. The duos will stay with us. We'll be right back shortly.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian, from issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyekan every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Political Spectrum live on Spectrum Television. We apologize, of course, for the glitches experienced a short while ago, but we do have Mr. Franklin Isong rejoin us, albeit over the line this time, to talk to us about the issues we're looking at. Once again, good morning to you, Mr. Franklin, and welcome to Political Spectrum.
Good morning, Mr. Raymond. Good to be with you today.
Thank you very much as well for joining us. Let's start off quickly with the day's first big news, and that's the purported strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress. There's been a lot of talks making the rounds that the NLC leadership could discontinue with a planned strike after a meeting with the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, as well as CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele yesterday in a bid to avert the impending threatened strike by the NLC. We already know the reasons given by the NLC for wanting to go on strike, being the naira scarcity as well as the scarcity of fuel in the country. Some have asked the question if there's a need for the NLC to still go ahead with its planned strike after the assurances given by Mr. Ngige and Mr. Emefiele that money has been made available to commercial banks in the country so Nigerians can have access to cash. Considering the NLC's instance, when they first announced the planned strike and gave the 7-day ultimatum that they will proceed with the strike regardless of the assurances until they were certain that the naira scarcity was now a thing of the past. I wonder, from your position, do you think the NLC should continue with its planned action in spite of the assurances that have come in?
I think first I must commend the NLC under the leadership of Joe Ajero. Since coming on board, he has given vibes. He has revised and strengthened and rejuvenated the struggles that NLC is known for. NLC was going comatose. The NLC under the past leadership was going comatose, was becoming inactive. I have never seen an NLC where a sub-member of the union, like the ASU, would be on strike for 8 months plus. And you never hear NLC coming to speak about it or talk about it passively or make any effort to add to the struggle of ASU. I've never seen an NLC where you hear doctors, the Nigerian Medical Association will be, going on strike, and this is also a suspect of the mother NLC. And you will not hear NLC, coming to either comment passively or add a voice to the struggle of doctors. Neither have I seen an NLC where the nurses will threaten to go on strike and the NLC will just be quiet. So the NLC in the past leadership was more of a political institution that was tied to the airport string of the federal government. And so whatever the federal government did was, was endorsed by the past NLC. But coming on board by the Joe Ajero led NLC, you can see that the union has come back to life. And so the 7 days ultimatum issued by the NLC to the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, on the scarcity of naira notes and the petroleum scarcity, it's a welcome development. And I wouldn't think it would be right for NLC to hearken or to listen to the pleading of the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Mr. Chris Ngige. Ngige leadership has always been playing hide and seek game with the labor issue, the issue of the welfare of workers. When did you hear the Labour Minister speak against the disobedience of the court order, the Supreme Court order by the CBN? The CBN had acted like an autonomous body, had acted like a body that is operating from a sovereign land, not under the sovereignty of Nigeria, not under the laws governing the country. How many months now we've been struggling for cash? We've been going to bank to look for cash. We've been going to the ATM, to the POS, businesses crumbled, activities, nosedive into the sea, and the labor and the productivity minister never made a comment. Even when the Apex Bank came out and made an order, and then finally made a judgment, it took the CBN more than 10 days to come out to begin to make a body language that they will obey sluggishly the judgment of the court of the land. So having come to this crossroads, when you disobey the laws of the land, you are simply pushing the masses, pushing the public to resort to self-help. We are aware that judiciary is the hope of the common man, and here is the judiciary that has issued order as I said that this particular policy of the central bank, should be put aside. Rather, the time frame should be extended. We have to accommodate, to make provision for more timing. But the CBN being an autonomous body, being an independent body operating from a sovereign land other than the Nigerian territory, disobeyed all the orders. And so it has come a time for Nigerians to now take the bull by the horn and occupy the offices of the Central Bank of Nigeria across the country. Speaking to you in Akwa Ibom State, we are mobilizing our members to join the protest to occupy the Central Bank office in Udodama. We are prepared. We are just waiting for the 7 days to reach. So how come the Minister of Labor now became interested? When the Supreme Court gave an order, where was the Minister of Labor and Productivity? Why wasn't it eventually directed bank to open on weekends? Why did he now come up to the Red Bank to open Saturdays and Sundays? They had to bring out cash. Where was this cash? Where was this cash before now? That's the question. Do you know how many persons have died in the course of looking for cash money to be able to pay hospital bills? Do you know how many businesses have been killed by Mr. Govin and Nefele? And so the time has come for us to now ask questions. I have asked before. I want essentially to tell Nigerians the gains of this monetary policy. If you are making a policy for the people, and if after 1 or 2 months you cannot come back to review the policy to tell us the gains, then I think that the should resign. It is a sad commentary that Emefiele is still in office till today, till this moment. The right thing would have been the moment the Supreme Court gave an order that the policy be reverted or the time frame be extended, and 10 days after, he never did that. Nigeria should have gone out to ask him to resign. So, but now, at this point that we are now, we have reached the crossroads. We have been pushed to the extreme. We are now calling on the Mr. Emefiele to resign from his job because he lacks the capacity, he lacks the know-how. He has been there for close to 5 years or more now. He wasn't even appointed by this government. He was appointed by the past government. So he has run out of ideas to run the economy. So he should resign. So our occupying the offices of the central bank is for 2 things. We are calling on Emefiele to resign. We are calling for his prosecution. He has committed a crime against humanity and a crime against Nigerians.
Well, these are interesting calls that you have made. In the event that the government doesn't heed to, the NLC's demands or the demands of rights groups such as yours for Mr. Emefiele to be removed from his role as CBN governor, I did ask initially, does it mean that you would support, a continuation of the planned strike after the expiration of the 7-day ultimatum. The excerpt from the meeting yesterday was that the CBN governor said money has been issued out and more money would come in to mitigate the hardship that Nigerians have faced in the last few weeks, courtesy of this Naira swap policy. So if that is the case, would you say there is a need to still continue, with the protest, even though assurances have been given that money will definitely be made available?
Truth is, Mr. Rebele has failed Nigerians. That is the first thing that must be.
So you're not going to give him a chance to correct. You're not going to give him a chance to correct his ills and his mistakes.
He is a lawless Nigerian, a man who is operating under the law of the land, which has to disobey the Supreme Court of the land. He is lawless. He has no business occupying any public office in the first instance. He wasn't occupying his personal estate. He wasn't working for his family. He was appointed to occupy the office on behalf of Nigerians. And it has put Nigerians into hardship, into pain. I asked earlier, this money that are now available, where was this money before today? How many days after the Supreme Court gave order, where was this cash before the 7-day ultimatum of the NLC? That's it. The cash is now trying to push into the system. Started on the first day NLC issue ultimatum. That was when he now realized that he had to come and make the cash available. 7 days, notice. And within 7 days, that are opening Saturdays and Sundays. I've never heard in the history of Nigeria where banks open Saturdays and Sundays. But currently, Mr. Rebele has now he is now going on the street to check banks. Where was he? He was in his high office. He was sitting at the top, behaving like headmaster who is above the law of the land. So the only way he can make for his sins, he can make reprieve for his sins, is to resign. Apologize to Nigerians, resign from office, and be prosecuted. He has flouted the laws of the land. What in fact it is even in an advanced democracy. What are they arrested by now? Because he has flouted the laws of the land. You could see the president coming out to disown him. That he never told him to disobey the court order before he now came up and then issued a press statement saying that he now brought in the president, that in compliance with the president, who has been law abiding, that is, that they are not going to obey the judgment of the Supreme Court. What are we saying? Are we operating a banana republic where a court of the land, such as the Supreme Court, will make an order and an appointee of the government of the land, whose office is operated by the law of the land, will disobey the law of the land, and then put Nigerians into hardship, cause Nigerians pain, kill businesses, destroy people's homes, send our children out of schools, and then after the labor had issued 7 days ultimatum, we now knew the consequences that he has put Nigerians to the brink of the struggle. He now came up to say, I'm sorry, cash is now available. He is incompetent, simply put. He has run out of ideas. He should resign and be prosecuted. So the protest called by NLC was meant to achieve two things. One is out of office, he's resigned out of office, and then two, he's prosecuted. That is the only way Nigerians can forgive Mr. Rebele for his sin and for his crime against humanity and for his crime against Nigerians.
All right, just before we wrap up on that line of conversation, I'd just like to bring your attention to a warning issued by the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, who has said no protests that would likely degenerate to a state of violence would be tolerated by the Nigerian police force, especially if it is a fallout from the just concluded general elections. The fuel and the Naira cash swap policy may not be direct fallouts from the just concluded elections, but we know that these two issues some way affected the outcome of the just concluded polls. And with the NLC's purported planned strike and with several calls in many quarters for people to come out and protest against the INEC as well as other issues that they felt the federal government has been largely responsible for. In the face of the warning by the IGP, Usman Alkali, do you think he has spoken out of turn, by threatening to deter Nigerians from exercising their constitutional and fundamental human rights to protest?
The IGP was cited for contempt of court some time ago. I think a few weeks ago. A few months ago, the court, the Federal High Court, cited him for contempt for disobeying court orders on a matter that the court had given, pronouncement and he disobeyed. 2, the IGP has no legal right to stop Nigerians from freedom of association, freedom of assemblage, and freedom to express their opinion, thought, and belief system. 3, Nigerians have the right to carry out peaceful protest. Mark my word, peaceful protest. The duty of the police and other law enforcement agents in this country is to ensure that those who are protesting are protected. So the police is meant to offer protection to those who are even protesting on the street. That is what it is. That is what the law says. So when the IGP came up with such an illegal opinion that is not based on law, that Nigerians should not go out to carry a peaceful protest, I think he was speaking out of context. He was speaking. His comment is ultra-virus, is unconstitutional, is unlawful. The only thing the IGP would do is to ensure that his men are on hand to protect the protesters and ensure that the protest is not hijacked by hoodlums. That is what the IGP should do under any circumstance. Protest is a given right. Protest is an inherent right of Nigerians in a democratic society. That is what the law says, and that is what the IGP should do. So I believe that the IGP was quoted out of context because he knows the law, that his duty is to enforce what the law says. And here the law says that Nigerians have the right for peaceful assemblage, have the right to express their opinion, have the right to express their thoughts, and then that's it. And nobody has the right to take away the right of another, not even the IGP. So I think that those who reported his advice must have quoted him out of context. Maybe he meant, or maybe they meant to say that he is saying that the advice should not be hijacked. And the protest, rather, shouldn't be hijacked by hoodlums to foment trouble and derail the course of democracy. That's my opinion.
Well, let's hope that is the case, which leads us to another equally pressing concerns. We'll touch on this quickly before we let you go. The just concluded 2023 elections has had divided opinion across the country, especially on the role that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, played at this polls. So we know you monitored these elections keenly, both the February 25 and March 18 exercises, respectively. Just a couple of days ago, INEC came out to say that it would require as much as 3 billion naira to prosecute post-election cases with respect to the litigations that are expected to come up against it in relation to how it conducted that election. Having spent well over 300 billion naira as well for this election, do you feel the Mahmoud Yakubu-led INEC is within its right to demand for that much of taxpayers' money to defend itself for the conduct of an election that has been viewed as largely, unsatisfactory by a lot of Nigerians and the electorate?
You see, the problem we have in this country is rewarding inaptitude, rewarding incompetence, rewarding failures with more appointments. In a fair client, the moment election is conducted and concluded, the INEC chairman should be able to give account of stewardship, should be able to come out to do an appraisal, to do a review, and possibly, you know, here he is not able to dot the T's and the I's. He is invited by law enforcement agencies to give accounts. How dare you spend such billions of naira for an election that is described as the worst ever in the history of Nigeria? The election that we had on the 25th of February was a sham, a complete sham. In fact, in our own press conference, in the press conference organized by my own NGO in New York, we said clearly that INEC was a contestant in the February 26th election. INEC was a contestant. INEC contested the election. That's the truth. Because INEC, the only duty of INEC is to conduct elections that is acceptable to Nigerians. And so whatever amount of money INEC requires to do that is given to INEC. Whatever amount of support that INEC requires is given to INEC. You recall that this issue of fresh scarcity came up. INEC said it will affect the election. INEC chairman said shouting that it will affect the pool. The NLC GMD, Menekare, met with the INEC chairman and assured him that there will be enough petrol for INEC to carry out his duty. There was issue of attack of INEC facilities in the southeast. INEC chairman came up and said it will affect the pools in the country. It took the NLC, it took the security chiefs and service chiefs to meet with the INEC chairman and tell him no, elections will be, the security will be made available to protect you and your workers, and materials will be saved. We have this issue of currency scarcity. The INEC chairman came up and said, oh, it will affect elections. The scarcity of cash will affect the pools. The CBN governor, Mr. Governor eventually met with the INEC chairman and assured him cash will be made available for you. The next thing again was the issue of logistics and transport. And they said, no, we don't have the road transport union. Assured INEC they will give you vehicles that will carry the materials. So what other assistance would INEC have needed? All have been given to him. The INEC man had wanted an scapegoat. He had a scapegoat. He was looking for ways to pick so as to attribute the blame of his inactivity, of his competence to that particular agency. But every agency became handy to assist INEC. Then comes the election. We have to report that INEC was going to abandon the INEC result viewing portal, IRES. As a result, will be transmitted from polling units to INEC result viewing portal through the visitors.
All right.
And INEC came out to assure Nigerians that it will be transmitted from polling units to the result viewing portal. That it has been done in Ekiti, it has been done in Osho and other states.
Okay.
And all these assurances happened. At the end of the day, what happened? INEC came out in between the election, shifting the goalpost and saying that due to some issues, the result will be transmitted from the polling unit. And now you have 3 elections that same day. You have election for the Senate and for the rest, which we are transmitted from the polling unit to the INEC result viewing portal. There's only one couldn't go, which is that of the presidency. Why was the election in a hole to announce the winner? That's why the protest that came out from the party agent at the national center. Why is it? I've never seen. I've been monitoring election, Raymond. I've never seen where the president-elect of Nigeria is announced in between 5 a.m. when people are still sleeping. But if you listen to Mr. Tinubu, he was announced as the country's president-elect by 5 a.m. when people are already asleep. That was very well announced. Why behave? Why were you in a hurry? That's what INEC should tell Nigerians. So INEC has no business to tell us that you need more money to go to court. It's INEC a party in the court, in the matter. Is INEC now interested in the cases? What INEC should do is to carry the material that you have done the place, go and present to court.
Okay, Mr. Franklin, we're just going to take a pause there because we're unfortunately going to have to wrap up. But you've just made so many salient points, and I'd just like to say it's a matter that we'd definitely love to revisit. And we hope to bring you back up on the program next time we do come up. But we have to say thank you very much indeed for joining us for today and bearing your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raymond.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us as well. That was Franklin Isong, Akwa Ibom State Coordinator, Center for Human Rights Advocacy and Accountability Network, talking to us about the proposed NLC strike, as well as issues raised in the aftermath of the just concluded 2023 elections. We'll have more on this. Join us again tomorrow when next we come your way for Political Spectrum. But coming up next is Business 360 with Blind and Okem. Until then, enjoy the rest of our program in radio and Spectrum Television. From me, Raymond Ita, and the rest. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.